Welcome to the All Ground Pod.
Mhm.
The first ever All Ground Pod where um, Elias and I are not in the same place. And,
Yeah,
uh, we've thought about doing this before, but just never got down to it. And I thought, if we never try it, this is gonna happen every time, and then we're gonna push it back. But we want to get the All Ground Pod out to you guys, even if we're not in the same place, no matter what.
100%. Yeah. And I'm going to sound significantly better than Laird in this
Yeah.
podcast. Just, I
It's your
have a
silky voice.
professional
He's using a
microphone
professional
and
mic, and I am using a MacBook
Laird's
M4
use,
chip mic.
Laird's using a cup and straw or a cup and string.
Yeah. But I'll tell you what, my computer camera is significantly better than Elias's. Elias might look like he's straight out of a Minecraft video game YouTube video. And all the while, you're looking at me in 4K HD.
Yeah. Elias is, it's actually more of a Roblox situation, I think.
I'd say he kind of looks like a Roblox.
Yeah. Roblox character.
Oh, what's this, you ask?
Yeah, I'm
just
going to guess what that is.
Yeah, do you want to guess or should I just tell you?
Let me see where it's from. Oh, that is definitely a Tokyo. For those who are listening to this and not watching it, Laird is holding a coffee cup from Voyager Craft Coffee in San Jose, and that's where Laird is right now. He's in San Jose. I'm here in Reno. And the first stop, I'm guessing, was Voyager Craft Coffee. And now, of course, it's a great coffee shop. It's a good, they've got a couple locations out there. They're doing really well. But it's not about anything more than one of their signature drinks, which is called the Tokyo.
Yeah.
And let's just explain this for the viewers that are into coffee a little bit.
So, Voyager Craft Coffee has the destinations menu. And on the destinations menu, I believe they have like Valencia, a London or something like that. But one of the items on the destinations menu is the Tokyo, and it's a latte, a specialty latte with cherry blossom water.
Yeah, it's got the cherry blossom water.
Yeah, cherry blossom
And
water, and
that with they've got like a cherry blossom water and like a brown sugar or something. And those together, because if you have it with just the cherry blossom water, like I've asked for it with the cherry blossom water, and it's nice, but it's subtle.
yeah.
But when you add that little bit of brown sugar and pair it with that cherry blossom water, I mean,
Oh,
what the
dude.
frick?
Yeah, so if you guys are in San Jose, highly, highly recommend going to Voyager Coffee. Not
Craft
because Craft
Craft cock. That's craft cock.
Voyager Craft Coffee.
Yeah, Voyager Craft Cocky.
Yeah, yeah. So go to Voyager Craft Cock and get yourself a Tokyo.
Yeah. It's great how
Nice
you're
tie.
doing this outside because there's like this subtle, wind sound.
Yeah,
And, it's really humbling, I feel, for the viewers that they're going to, we'll see who's a real viewer here, who's a real, supporter of the show.
yeah. I mean, when I'm editing, the great thing about Adobe Premiere Pro is you
It's okay.
can just. I mean, there is so much stuff you can do through the editing process. Like, and one of those things is obviously enhance audio, enhance speech. So, don't worry about it, Elias. We'll make it happen. I know you're stressed out, but we're gonna figure it out for you.
Yeah, I am in a constant state of stress. Let's talk about the differences between Elias and Laird as martial artists and just people in general. I feel like this is kind of something that might be fun for the people to listen to because most of the people listening right now are either friends, family, they have a little bit more of an intimate relationship with us or knew us growing up.
Yeah.
And it is funny. We get a lot of comments on how, we're very similar, but also very different in the way that we teach, in the way that we compete, in the way that we, just roll around with people. Although a lot of the people haven't seen you roll in a long time just because of your injuries. But yeah, we've always got that. We've always got, even though we've grown up and done everything together, we've always got like it's fire and water here, or fire and ice.
Fire and ice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, how about we start with who's in the room with you right now? Obviously, Temp Ty.
Temp Ty, and then Temp Nate is taking a nap on the floor.
Oh, okay. Well, I was gonna say we could start with how they describe us as different, and then move from there.
Oh, that's pretty good. Temp Ty, why don't you describe us as?
Ooh.
Well,
Yeah,
Laird's a piece of
that's
shit.
actually
Elias is a nice guy.
That's actually interesting. I feel like, okay, first of all, just demeanor wise, I think it was probably way more pronounced when you guys were younger. Now you guys have kind of both evened out, but I think that Elias is more fiery and you're more easygoing, a little bit more even keeled. Moodiness wise, I feel like Elias has more highs and lows. I don't know. I don't know. Is that how would you guys agree with this, your self-assessment of yourself?
I'd say that's a pretty good assessment, a fair assessment.
I'd say that's pretty good. I think Laird definitely would be more even keeled.
Yeah.
Overall, have a little more control over his emotions in a lot of ways.
Here's another thing that Nate and I were talking about this morning after, we sauna'd and we were cold plunging and we were talking about some really deep things that you missed out on, Elias, but
so bad.
I did too.
We were talking about how some people appear to be really even keeled, but I believe that everybody's just a freaking hot mess under the hood. Every single one of us. Some people express it more. They wear it on their sleeves and other people don't, but underneath we're all a hot mess and we're just trying to keep it together. Yeah. And maybe I'm just the only crazy one, but I think that that's true in my experience. Cause a lot of times I'll know people and I'll think, wow, this guy's just really easygoing. It's super easygoing dude. And then I'll have a heart to heart with them and they'll say, no, man, I'm just barely keeping it together like the rest of you. I just don't express it out loud,
Yeah. I
So
think
anyway, but as far as physically, the way you guys appear to roll, very different. Laird, you seem to be more of a pressure guy. Now keep in mind, I haven't seen competitor Laird. Since I've known you, you've been injured Laird. So I haven't seen you when, you were out there just beating the hell out of people. But
right.
Even watching that, I feel like you were more like slower, more methodical style, and Elias seems like quicker, just like quicker transitions, less pressure, still a lot of pressure, but not like you. Like when you just demonstrate stuff to me, I feel like I'm going to die because you're crushing my chest casually. And when Elias demonstrates stuff, it's still pressure, but not the same. It just, and you're what, 10, 15 pounds heavier than him. That's not accounted for in your actual body weight.
Heavier than me right now.
Even that. I mean, when you put pressure on me, Laird, just casually, you feel heavier than when like a 215 pound guy puts pressure on me. So you're very, very good at crushing rib cages for sure. So your guys' style, very, very different physically. And then, I don't know, other things that are different about you guys. Well, how about similarities? You're both, really sweet people that care deeply about the people around you, which is really cool, which is the main reason I hang out with you. If you were jerks, I wouldn't be hanging out with you. Both very good teachers. Both have a very, very good eye for movement, because there's a lot of people that are really high level at things and they suck at teaching it. You guys are high level, but you're also really good at teaching and conveying ideas. And a lot of that is just practice, because your dad brought that out in you guys. So you both have practiced teaching most of your lives, but you're both very, very good at teaching. Different styles a little bit, but I'd say that's probably where you're the most similar, is your style of teaching.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah.
Really good assessment.
I'd say
both
maybe
good singers.
Yeah. Maybe we should do a karaoke pod.
Yeah.
Yeah. Karaoke pod would be awesome.
Yeah. Well, Elias gets all the credit for being the good singer because he's in a band, with your sister. I feel like your whole family's probably really good at singing. Do you think there's any chance we could get your dad to get on here and sing?
Oh, God.
If we pay him enough. Yeah.
So, our dad.
Everybody has a price.
Our dad is afraid of going to comedy shows because he thinks he's going to be the guy that gets picked on.
Yeah.
Well, he's afraid for
he would get picked
for the comedian. Because he's like, then I'd have to kill him. And then I'd go to jail. And I would feel bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd say that was a pretty good assessment of the two of us, Ty.
Yeah, that was really good, Ty.
I feel
Thank
like
you.
we
Thank you for
obviously
the kind
like
words as
have.
well.
Yeah. Thank you for that. And maybe we should just go on with Ty talking about how awesome we are for the rest of the pod.
Yeah, I think we should just sit back and
Bask
this should be
in
Ty's
glory.
show right now. I like it.
Yeah. No, but yeah, I think Elias and I's teaching style specifically, like I think we convey things in a similar way, the way we teach, but obviously like we both have different expertise of jiu-jitsu. And I mean like we're both what you would call experts in jiu-jitsu, so it's but then there's like specific things that you like to do, specific things that I like to do that I think we are very complementing to each other's styles of teaching in that sense. Even though the way we teach and the you know, how we do it, how we explain things is probably very similar.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think we complement each other well with our styles. And I think that over the years, I mean, at least for me, I've adopted a lot of what I've seen you have a lot of success with. And so just kind of the pressure passing style in general. I feel like, you know, when I was competing like a lot, I feel like I wasn't even focused on that. You know, I was focused on like using my sweeps to get up, focusing on scrambling and whatnot, but just seeing the success. And I feel like when you started training at AK and just implementing more top grappling, top wrestling, and just seeing that success and watching how you were able to control and slow down the matches. I mean, it forced me to think about jiu-jitsu a lot differently. And now I feel like that's my style. It's still different, you know, but I want to be on top. I want to be passing, you know, I want to be implementing that similar style of pressure. But yeah, Ty's right. It is to a different degree because, even when we're drilling things, I feel like you are so heavy.
Well, and the other thing is
it's just like
you're
practicing.
You're more you're both like, for instance, if somebody had a gun to your head and said, do a standing back tuck right now, you know, if you got warmed up, you could probably do it, but you just don't tend to do the acrobatic stuff, walking on your hands and all the acrobatic stuff. That's something that Elias does all the time and likes doing. Whereas you tend more toward, that's great, I could do that stuff, but I'm going to just do jiu-jitsu and fight. But I think it's kind of that tendency toward, you know, jumping around and being more acrobatic, kind of like exemplifies the way you guys tend to like to move.
Yeah. And I'd say like Elias probably submits people more often than me, you know, because he's like, no, just in jiu-jitsu in general, because I think he's like hunting from more positions where it's like I am very much just trying to, I just want, like, when I roll with people, I want them to feel like, man, I literally can't move from here at all. You know? And then eventually like that will set up your submissions. I always tell people, like, I mean, obviously like the basic saying of position over submission is like very true in a lot of ways, but a solid position will always like lead to a better submission or a better submission attempt.
Well, and it also create opportunities for it, right? So you see these people that, I mean, when I first started jiu-jitsu, 8 months ago now, of course, the first thing I do is like get online and start looking at, you know, videos, and just because I'm interested, you know, I'm excited about it. And you see all these submission videos and you're like, oh, that's cool. That would work. But then when you try to go do it, nothing works, right? You're like, why doesn't any of it work? Because you're not in position. You have to be in the right position to make any of that work.
Yeah, I think about that a lot when I'm coaching, because people will ask me, you know, very specific questions, and then sometimes if I don't know the answer directly, I'll just start, you know, doing the move or starting from the position that they're experiencing trouble in, and I'll do something that feels natural right there. But then when I'm actually rolling and going 100%, I'm like, God, you know, I feel like it's a little different than how I was teaching it.
Right.
You know, because like I can stop and almost like draw it out perfectly. But then when you're rolling and you're doing it live against full resistance, it doesn't look anything like the drawing, you know? There's different things, there's subtleties, you know, that I think about, and I think those subtleties. I mean, Ty, you've spoke to this before, but those subtleties are what you're looking for when you're watching me teach or
Yeah.
watching Laird teach, and I'm trying to notice those more as I teach. Like, okay, where is my elbow? Where is my foot? You know, and what are the things I'm not talking about that are really helping me with the position here? And that's been forcing me to be a better instructor, you know, and help me as a martial artist understand the moves a lot more.
Right.
Because it feels like it's funny because it's like it's those subtleties. It seems more advanced, but it actually makes things a lot easier, you know?
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. And to be clear, I'm not just like, yeah, I'm not going to listen to you. I'm just going to look for the subtleties. I'm
Right.
trying to absorb everything that you're saying, because I know that if from like a triage standpoint, you're trying to tell me the most important things. These are the things that I should know first. But then if I'm absorbing that and then I'm also noticing little subtleties, then it just kind of enhances the whole thing. But you can only learn so quick. That's the other problem. If you can't just download jujitsu into my brain like the Matrix. I mean, that would be really cool if you could. I would totally do that. Like $10,000, sign me up. I would do it. But you can't. So you can only ingest so fast. So if I had to choose, I would only listen to you. But if I'm getting what you're saying, and especially if it's like the second or third day we've covered the same thing, then I'm focusing more on just like trying to also look for the little subtle things that you do, little positioning things that you didn't mention. But I'm like, ooh, you're doing this and nobody else in here is doing that. And we're all struggling. Why? But then as soon as I do that little thing, I'm like, oh, that made it a lot easier.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like,
Yeah, for sure.
the fact of the matter is, like, I mean, I tell people this too when they ask me questions, and then they'll be like, well, man, why can't I do this against you? And I'm like, well, I'm a black belt. I'm like, I've been doing this for a long time. I have so much more reps, like in this specific scenario or this specific motion or this specific, so like what I'm teaching you is correct, but it's not always going to work. And I feel like you kind of have to work that out of some people's brains that like, this isn't going to work against everyone all the time, and that's why like having the tools and also I've definitely, told people a lot of the time, and this is why I like watching Marcelo teach, is he kind of runs through it in like a live scenario every time he teaches,
And just so everyone knows, you're referring to Marcelo Garcia, who's
Yes, Marcelo Garcia,
one of the
who's
greatest jiu-jitsu practitioners of all time.
He wrote Jiu-Jitsu University.
No, that was the Hibero
Salo Hibero.
brothers. But
So many names.
I mean, he's sort of the godfather of the
X-guard.
X-guard, if you will, Marcelo Garcia, and
But
he's just one of the greatest of all time.
And I like really resonate with his teaching style, because I feel like that's kind of how Dad taught us, where it wasn't like an overly explained situation or overly explained move, which I feel like, not to knock any of the instructors today, I think there's some amazing instructors out there, but I think like using big words and like that's kind of become more of a thing in jiu-jitsu since John Danaher. And I think it works for specific people. But for my learning style and like watching Marcelo, is he doesn't like, he keeps it so simple, and then he'll kind of run through it live. So you see like the fight and the imperfections of like what can happen or what the move can look like when you're going through it with a little bit of resistance as well. So, I think people need to see that like sometimes the movement is going to look a little awkward because you're going to have to fight a little harder from this position or from, once you get to this step, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I think I would totally agree. I think Marcelo teaches in a way where he simplifies it and makes it like imperfect, it's true. I mean, some of it's just like the answer is just push the legs to the side, just push the legs to the side. Like stop overthinking.
Exactly.
You don't need like these intricate grips. Just push the legs to the side. Something.
Yeah.
And that's really cool.
More than one way up the mountain.
Yeah. But definitely what I noticed recently, in teaching is chaining moves together and being able to like, teach in a sequence is so helpful, because the most frustrating thing one of the most frustrating things as an instructor is, you know, when someone's like, oh, this move just isn't really working for me. I'm like, okay, well, let me see, like, let me do it, you know? And then I do it on the partner that's making it difficult for them. And then, of course, they're giving some weird reaction.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, well, if you're going to do that reaction, then I'm going to chain to this move. And then I'm going to pass your guard easily. And so, and that's probably one of the most frustrating things as an instructor is you're like,
yeah.
And one thing I loved about learning from Kaio and the time that we did is I wouldn't adopt this, but he would get so pissed when people gave the wrong reaction, like the reaction that he wasn't looking for. Even if it was like, oh, well, you know, what if I react like this? You know, he'd be like, we're not fucking doing that right now. You know? Like, and then sometimes, like in the comp class, if someone gave the wrong reaction, he'd be like, get the fuck out of here. Like someone else.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, another person here, come do it right. You know, you're not doing it right. Go.
Yeah, and then
Just
the other
zero
person's just
tolerance.
shaking like,
tolerance.
holy shit, I hope I do it right.
Oh man, when he would ask me to demonstrate moves or something, I'd be like, all right, don't do anything fucking stupid. Just do it exactly how do it exactly how he wants. Just give the proper reaction.
That's like such a universal thing for people to feel like. I don't know. I feel like if you've been the uke or like it's your first time being the uke, everyone goes through those nerves of like, what should I be doing? How should I be doing it?
Yeah.
If he tells me to go here, do I do it now or do I do it? You know, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you just get used to it.
I think it's more stressful for the instructor because you don't want to look like an idiot in front of your students, you know?
Hey,
Right.
what do you guys think? I want to just like throw a little monkey wrench in, you know, controversy.
Yeah.
What do you
I love
guys
some
think about
controversy.
the new movement of ecological jiu-jitsu?
I was just like, I just saw a video on this morning. I
Yeah,
mean,
was it Big
obviously it's
Dan?
been going. No, it was like someone critiquing that video.
Yeah.
But it's like people trying to start drama in jiu-jitsu for the sake of starting drama in jiu-jitsu, like just to generate interest or whatever it is.
Right.
But it's one of those, like, I just feel like it's a pointless conversation, you know?
Yeah.
I feel like it's silly. Like, people, like, just look at what the best in the world are doing. Like AOJ, they're the best in the world. What are they doing?
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
don't be like, oh, well, ecological BJJ would be better or whatever. It's like, just look at what's working and who's the best, and then be like, oh, I should probably try to do stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know,
And
like
until
people are finding an opportunity to create drama. It's so silly. It bothers me so much.
Yeah, I was gonna say until ecological jiu-jitsu produces hundreds of world champions, then let's just train the way you want to train, teach the way you want to teach, whatever works for you works for you. But like obviously there's a tried and true, you know, like way of doing things and teaching that's worked for hundreds of people in jiu-jitsu. So
I totally agree. I think that there's nothing wrong with experimenting in your teaching style and trying different things. But I think the problem comes out when you have some new idea and you have zero proof that it's going to work in the long run, and you come out and trash everybody and say how great your style is. This is so much better. This is the new thing. Everybody that doesn't do it is stupid. And if you kind of take that attitude, and that's happened in so many sports, but if you have that attitude, then you just, I mean, you create drama, but I suspect that he wants the drama so that, I can't remember the guy's name that started the whole movement, but he's just trying to like boost himself. It's just promotion, self-promotion.
Yeah,
really
it is promotion. And I feel like he's just taking an aspect of jiu-jitsu that we're already kind of doing, you know, like we're already doing positional sparring and live rolls.
Absolutely.
You know, and then he's just saying, oh, well, that's the thing that ultimately has the success, you know, that's the thing that's producing the most successful outcomes. And, you know, whatever, like start a problem, you know, out of nothing, find a way to, you know, draw attention towards your statements. But the best in the world are just going to keep doing what they're doing, and they're going to continue to refine that. And so at the end of the day, it's just drama. It's just drama. And it's silly that people, you know, respond to it and get so heated over it, you know?
Yeah.
And
like you guys like to say, the proof's in the pudding, right? And that's just, are people winning using the style? If not, then
Just
maybe it's not
winning?
great. Yeah.
Who are the best in the world?
Yeah.
What are
it's
they
like,
doing?
Why does it need to even be a debate? Like, it's so It's just funny because, yeah, like you said, I mean, who's winning right now? You know, the people that are doing it the exact same way they've been doing it, and kind of, you know, every coach is different. They're going to implement their own things, but like most gyms follow like the same, you know, lines of like drilling, positionals, rolls, like everything, you know?
Yeah. And also, I mean, it's not about like ecological BJJ versus, you know, traditional drilling and then rolling, whatever it is. I mean, at the end of the day, it's about the investment in the athlete. You know, how much coaches are willing to invest in the athlete and give themselves to their group of students.
Yeah.
Because if you're just trying everything you can to be the best instructor, you don't necessarily have to worry about like, oh, maybe I should teach this way. Maybe I should teach this way. It's like, just figure it out. Just hard work. Like show up every single day. Show up every single day as an instructor and always try to improve. And same, like, and then that breeds like a championship mentality throughout the whole academy. You know, if you just show up with a champion standard as your mindset, like, I want to be the best coach. How am I going to be the best coach? I'm going to give like everything I can at this moment on the mats, regardless of what's going on in my life. I'm going to show up for these students. I'm going to give them the best instruction I possibly can. And then I'm going to think about what I taught. And then I'm going to iterate on what I taught, you know? And then you're just going to have success. I mean, that's Laird and I have no systematic approach, you know, that's on paper to our teaching style, to the way we run classes. I mean, we stick with, you know, a curriculum that we're thinking about, things that we're thinking about during that week and leading up to the tournament. But at the end of the day, I mean, the success that we had in our first tournament, our debut, didn't come from some specific system. It just came from us investing into our athletes to the best of our ability.
Right.
You know, showing up for them, answering their questions, troubleshooting with them, rolling with them, you know, giving them the opportunity to, you know, experience what that competition environment would be like, you know, with the competition training, and you just try and figure it out.
Well, and the other thing that you learn when you start teaching anything, whether it be academics or athletics or combat or whatever, is that everybody learns in a different way.
Yeah.
And so the conundrum that you have as a coach or a teacher is that if you have a room full of people that you're trying to teach, whatever style you would adapt that day is going to be better for some than others.
100%.
And so that one-on-one time where you explain things to Joe over there one way, and then you come over here and explain something to Brenda a different way, because Brenda doesn't learn the same way Joe does. You don't talk to her the same way.
Yeah.
That flexibility as a coach is so important.
Yeah. Yeah.
I agree. To the drilling point as well, like, I think what gyms actually don't do enough of is hard, fast-paced drilling. You know, where you're not like necessarily feeling resistance, but you are working through your drills. Like, one thing that I've always disliked about like jiu-jitsu a little bit is just, you know, you do your warm-up, you get sweaty, and then you go into this drilling session, and it's like such a slow pace.
You cool down.
Like, you just cool down, you know, and then you start rolling. And like, one thing that I've tried to adopt for wrestling into our jiu-jitsu is like, when you wrestle, you don't stop sweating from the moment you start the warm-up to until you're ending the class, you know, until you end that. And I feel like there's not enough of like, all right, we've drilled this, now let's do it a little faster pace. Or just, you as an athlete, if you're an athlete that's drilling and you're understanding a move, start picking it up. Like, take the initiative yourself to do that, and see how that can take you. Like, when you're drilling wrestling moves, you're sweating, you're working, you're a little tired through all those drills, and you're not getting resistance. You're just going through the movements at a fast pace.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And it doesn't need to be perfect. I also, and as an instructor, you want to let people know, you know, because I agree, Laird. I think that there needs to be more like, you know, hard drilling, just constantly. I mean, like, how many times would you know, when we go to a wrestling practice, how many single legs are we doing? Just a
Yeah.
single leg, you
Yeah.
know? And it doesn't have to be perfect. It's just about getting that movement down, getting more comfortable in your body, like
Yeah.
with that movement. And
Exactly.
eventually, you know, if you're there to improve, you just start improving whether you want to or not, because
Yeah.
because repetition, you know, is ultimately proficiency.
Yeah.
And yeah, I love that aspect of wrestling and bringing that into jiu-jitsu. And yeah, people can still take it at their own pace. I mean, they don't need to be going balls to the wall like some others will, and that's great. But just getting the reps, and then suddenly you get more comfortable with, you know, locking your hands the right way. You know, you're locking your hands and you're just doing it. You know, you eventually start to do it better and better every time.
Yeah. I mean, in CrossFit, definitely there's this this attitude of that intensity is the most important thing. And over the years, you know, when I first got into it, I was like, oh yeah, intensity, that's the most important thing. But there's a big problem with that. And the problem is burnout and injury, right? So if people go, there are people that can bring high levels of intensity day in and day out, and they can do that for years, but those people are mutants. There's not a lot of people that can actually do that effectively without mentally burning themselves out or physically hurting themselves. And so it's the same thing that I see in jiu-jitsu. It's the consistency will be a far more effective tool than intensity. Showing up every day and putting in work, but like thoughtful work, meaningful work every day, as opposed to coming in like and going super hard 2 days a week. I mean, the 2 day a week people are not going to get nearly out of it what the 5 day a week people are going to get out of it if they show up and put in 80-85% intensity every day. They show up instead of 100% intensity every day.
Yeah.
One thing I tell my MMA students, or the guys that I teach there, because a lot of the time you feel, or I see from them, like they feel like they need to strike just because they're getting striked at, or they need to hit, you know, just because. But I always tell them, like, nothing should be like just because or just to do it. You should always have an intention and a purpose behind every strike, behind every movement. Like, if you're going to strike, it's because you're seeing a pattern that he's doing and you can capitalize off of. Or if you're going to strike, you're trying to set something up, or you're trying to learn, you're trying to intake more information out of this other guy that you're fighting or that you're sparring against, you know? So everything should have a purpose. Everything should have intention behind it. Like, or else you're just going to get left behind, you know, with
you're
whoever you're
create bad
sparring.
habits.
Yeah.
I agree. Same for the coaches too. I mean, every instruction has to be led with intention. You know, you can't just be teaching it because, you know, because we haven't gone over this today. It's like, what do we need to figure out? What are the students struggling with? You know, what are the issues? It always starts with a problem. You know, I mean, what's the problem that we're identifying? What are we trying to accomplish here? And then you set the intention. You know, set the intention, and you are more fulfilled as an instructor, and then the students feel more fulfilled. I mean, when people show up to a class, you don't want people to be confused, and you don't want people to feel overwhelmed, but you want them to feel like they learned something, and like they're tired in a way where they feel really good about it.
Yeah.
You know, like they're tired, and they're almost proud of what they've accomplished in that hour of training.
Yeah.
You know, and so and to your point, Laird, I think that's done with intention. You know, I think that people are proud of what they did after the hour if the coach is intentful and you're reminding them to be intentful as they're drilling, you know?
Yeah.
Because even if it's...
Go ahead.
Sorry. I was just saying, even if it's not like a hard practice, you know, if we're diving into a subject where it's really like, maybe like blowing a lot of people's minds or opening up, you know, new pathways. And I didn't even think about that. Like that can be just as satisfying, you know, as a hard training session. But that's what you want. You want those moments you want those aha moments, or you want those, man, that was hard work, and I'm so proud of what I did in this hour. Like I'm gonna go home and sleep great. You know, you want to give people those moments, and you want to have them as a coach as well.
Yeah, and to that point as coaches, like, and I think you've probably experienced this as well. Like, there's been times in the past where I've like taught a class, just I walk in and I'm like, oh, we'll figure out what I'm going to coach today. And like, you as a coach know the difference. Like, you'll walk away from a practice feeling like, man, that was not the best session. Like, I did not do my best coaching because like I didn't prepare properly as a coach. And like, there's nothing that feels worse than that. Like, and I've moved so far away from that. Like, I love the way I feel when I'm prepped for a specific, session, for a specific coaching session. And like, and I know what and how I'm going to teach and why I'm going to teach it beforehand. And like, since doing that, and I feel like we've been doing that pretty much since the start of ALLGROUND, it's just made our coaching experience so much better. Like, I hate, even if some people feel like, oh man, that was a great class, like, I'll know when I walk away from that class if I feel like, fuck, I did not teach to the best of my ability, or like, I didn't like the way,
Yeah.
When you guys taught at other academies throughout the years, as a rule, did they have a curriculum generally that they said, hey, these are the main things I want you to touch on today, these are the things I want you to focus on? Or were they just like, yeah, cover some guard passing today, have at it?
No,
I think we've experienced a little bit of both, or a lot of both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so now, since you have that sample size, and obviously we don't want to like name any places, but the places that were more curriculum oriented, that had a little bit more organization, did you see over time their students progressing faster than the ones that were kind of shooting from the hip, or did it matter, or was it more just about how good the instructors were?
A little bit of both, but one thing I've seen, and one thing I know about people is like they get bored easily. And I used to be very like big on, if I teach one thing, on Monday, I might be teaching the same thing with just like a little added detail on Tuesday, and then I might be teaching the same thing with like another move on top of it on Wednesday, and like, I think that is really, if you just learn one move for an hour on one day and then you just move on and you don't learn it again for another week, like what are you going to retain from that?
Yeah. I totally agree.
And I've seen gyms that do that because I think you're trying to appeal more to people because they like learning cooler stuff. They like learning fresh stuff, like, and they want to keep their mind busy. And sometimes people just like feel like they have this, oh, we did that move yesterday, like I was doing it really well, but that comes down to the student. But I've seen that a lot.
Yeah, I think that's also just about the environment that you create as the instructor and as the leader of the academy. I mean, if people at other academies like want to teach more or want to have like more of a diverse curriculum throughout the week, because they feel like the students are going to get bored, I don't think it's an issue with the technique is boring. I think it's an issue with the coach is boring.
Yeah.
Like the fundamentals. It sounds funny, but can be very fun if taught properly. And I think that, Ty, you've experienced this.
Oh yeah.
But Laird and I, we will spend a whole week on very specific techniques and sometimes longer, but we're excited about it because we're sharing it in a way where we're passionate about it.
Yeah.
And then the whole environment is like, God, I just want to get so good at this specific technique. It's not like, oh, we're doing this again. If that's the case with your students, it's not them, it's you.
Yeah.
It's you as an instructor. You're boring. and like we just make it fun because we're also very passionate about it. And again, there comes back to that intention of I want my students to get better at this. I want them to feel confident here. How many reps of just very specific techniques were we doing leading up to the tournament? And there were days where I'm like, maybe they're getting a little bored of this, but at the same time, I'm like, nah, like we're having fun and they're just getting better. And then they're seeing the results of it in their training, in their sparring, and then ultimately in the competition. And that is more fulfilling than anything. That's like a little bit of that delayed gratification where I'm just going to keep investing into this technique. And then boom, you hit it in live training or you hit it at a tournament. And you're like, oh, I am so glad that I invested into that,
Absolutely. Well, and I don't know, there's different ways, different approaches that people have to running classes and running a gym or an academy. And yes, you do need to keep people engaged, but there's multiple approaches to that. One is I'm going to try to entertain these people, but a lot of times that's without passion. You're just like, I got to keep these people entertained or they're going to cancel their membership. Right.
Mm-hmm.
The other approach would be, this is something I'm passionate about. Can't you tell I'm excited? And you really are excited about it. And you're teaching it and you're excited because you're like, I can't wait to see you guys master this. It's going to be so cool once you master it. And I'm on this journey with you and this is going to be great. And you can take things that would otherwise be kind of mundane feeling and you can bring a level of excitement to fundamentals, like you said, that otherwise wouldn't be there. So I don't think I've never felt like you're trying to entertain us, but your heart isn't in it. I've always felt like you're just like, let's have a great time together.
Yeah.
And I think that passion really draws people. And so that balance of keeping us entertained while focusing on the fundamentals, really the key bottom line ingredient is passion. And you guys definitely have that right now. So that's good. Just don't get burnt out. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's an element to that. Sorry, 1 second, man. This is crazy.
No, what I was going to say is like, there's days where I will feel tired and be like, oh man, I got to teach today. And then as soon as I go into the gym, it's like this whole like new thing takes over me. Cause it's just like, even though like I'm not training, I'm not able to. And sometimes like the schedule gets a little hard. I always walk into the gym and instantly feel this energy because I'm so passionate about jiu-jitsu.
Mm-hmm.
And like, even if I'm having a bad day, the gym like makes me feel better. Teaching makes me feel better. Communicating with my students makes me feel better. So like it's almost impossible for me. Like once I walk into that gym, I just feel this energy take over me. And like, yeah, it just feels great.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I would agree with that statement entirely. I think there's days where I do feel that burnout, but just being around, the people and the environment that we've created. And this is why it is so important to show up for your students, regardless, because if you show up for them, they will show up for you. And if you start with a shitty base, and like 2 months in, you're like already tired, and you're already exhausted, and you're not putting that aside to be the best that you can for your students, then they're going to come to class. They're going to be like, I'm kind of bored. I don't know if I want to train so much. And they're going to feel that. But if you show up, every single day as an instructor and as the leader, as the owner, and regardless of what's going on, like you give your all, you give the whole to the academy, then people are going to feel that and they're going to want to do the same thing. They're going to they're going to brighten you up because they're excited. They're giving us high fives, they're embracing us and stoked that we're there. They're stoked to learn. Yeah. You're just like, man, I'm so excited to teach now or something,
Yeah.
It helps to build that from the ground up. And it's one of the most important things that, maybe academy owners don't talk about or don't think about, but there is going to be burnout, there 100% is going to be burnout, especially when you're really passionate about building it, to the best of its ability and to a certain point. And you just gotta push through that, you have to push through and you gotta fight for what you want and know that the more you invest, into that space and into that environment, the greater the return it's going to be. And now, we're finding some fluidity. There's still burnout here and there, but we're supported by an incredible community. People that can, help us and build us up, and it's awesome. I'm only getting more energized overall. Still have slow days here and there, but only getting more energized overall because our students are getting better. They're getting tougher. They're getting harder to roll with. So I'm just excited. It's fun.
Yeah. Speaking of investment and return, the promotions, we did we had our promotion, our first ever all-ground promotional ceremony, belt ceremony, where, we, honestly, just like, that was kind of a real, just a good look at what we're doing with All Ground, and the passion that we saw in people and the smiles on people's face and the emotion, like it just felt like so reassuring that what we're doing is like actually, touching people's hearts in a way. And like, I mean, jiu-jitsu changed both of our lives in ways that we couldn't even like fathom. So, to see it like bringing the emotion out of people and kind of doing the same for them, it's like, man, it feels so special. And I know like you and I got choked up at a couple moments and probably more than choked up, but but
Yeah.
you know, I think just seeing that, it just tells myself, like it tells me that, man, this is like something I'm so passionate about, because when I see these other people getting emotional, like I feel empathetic, like I can feel what they're feeling like deep down inside, you know?
Yeah. 100%. I thought about that too, because just rethinking, like, damn, I was a freaking mess at some of those points,
Yeah.
And we're just handing out some stripes, but it really it really is like, it is about the investment, and in those moments where you're getting emotional, you're not just thinking like, oh my god, I'm giving someone a stripe, like this is so emotional. It's like, no, like you're looking at all the people, and you're looking at the emotion on their faces when we're handing out stripes and we're handing out belts, and that space is so much more than just learning jujitsu. It's so much more, and it's been so much more than that for us. I mean, it's been a lifetime of investment in our craft, and then putting that onto the canvas that is ALLGROUND, and investing so much of ourselves into that community and into building that space. And so, when you have those moments, those little milestones, it all the emotions flood in for sure, because one, we're proud, and two, like, we're very empathetic, and very in touch with those people, with our students. A lot of them are really close friends now, and a lot of them we just care for a lot, and they care for us, and you can't help it. I mean, the emotions just come out, and I think that's a great thing. The more I think about it, I'm like, people appreciate that. It's authentic, and authenticity is what people crave.
Well, I can say, going to the promotions, the thing that excited me the most was just, I was excited to see who was going to be promoted to where, and I feel like, after watching the whole thing and participating in the whole thing, I feel like you guys are incredibly sincere in the promotions that you gave, and that you believe deeply in them. I feel like there were people there that maybe got 4 stripes on a belt that maybe in another place would have gotten, the next belt level. But I feel like you guys are kind of conservative on belts, because you want to feel like they really are at that level before you give it to them. And I actually really like that, because when I get promoted, I don't ever feel like, did I really deserve that? I'm like, no, these guys are the experts. They know. And if they put me there, then I belong there. I can believe in that. And that makes it more valuable. So I'm sure there were people there that were hoping to get a higher promotion than they got. And maybe some people there that were surprised at the promotion they got, because the fact is, you guys are the experts. You're the ones that actually know where people should be. And so deferring to your expertise is pretty easy to do. So,
I mean, it was, I think some people just need like a little more of a push. And I think when they see that 4th stripe and they're just like, man, we are right here. Like, it's almost like hey, what can I do better? What can I do better to make this a purple belt because of how close I am, or a brown belt or a blue belt, and man, I like, the emotion was just through the roof, and I think it started with Savannah, obviously. Like, she's been like just an unexpectedly big part of our program, and helping the women, and just like just a positive force in the gym. And like, as soon as she started to tear up, I was like, gosh, man, hold it together, Laird.
She was able to hold this together, Dan.
As she was walking away, Laird was like, man, got me there. Got me. And I was like,
that was the start. That was the start. That kind of broke the wall for me, because like, then as soon as Lola came up, I was like, thinking back to it, I'm like, oh my god, like I only gave her 3 stripes, and I'm freaking bawling my eyes out like she got a black belt or something. but like, I just couldn't help it. And I've thought about those moments so many times. Like, what I was trying to say and like tell about Lola is like, what she's gone through and like the things she's had to deal with type 1 diabetes, and just like, she's had some hardships in her life, and just thinking about her makes me feel like, man, there's no one in the cage, no one that I could fight that could put me through the level of adversity like she has had to go through in life. So it's like, it's just so inspiring, and it makes me think like, man, no one can hurt me. No one can hurt me. If Lola can do that, like no one can hurt me, you know?
100%.
I think that's like, as soon as I started thinking that, that's when I got like,
yeah,
fuck, I can't hold my tears back.
Yeah. And it doesn't help too that, I mean, that every single person that comes up that we're striping or belting, we're trying to say something very sentimental and real about.
Yeah.
And then, when it comes to our little sister, it's like, there's already so much emotion being drawn out.
Yeah.
And so, you just can't help it. It could have been one stripe. It could have been anything.
Yeah.
Like the
exactly.
emotion was already pouring, and it just happened. And man, I mean, I think at the end of the day, it's authentic, it comes out exactly how it's supposed to, and you don't even have control over it at times. And that's honestly the coolest thing. That's what people want.
Yeah. But
I think probably the most emotional thing that happened there was when Parker realized that he was at the same level as me. And I was like, sorry, Parker, officially I'm as good as you. And he cried a little bit when I pointed that out.
Yeah. Look, I mean, well, Elias and I talked about like, hey, in all honesty, like we could push these guys into a belt that like they could fill those shoes eventually.
They could,
but like you both haven't been doing jiu-jitsu very long, although you've both been growing like very rapidly in your own ways. Like you also haven't been doing jiu-jitsu that long, and for in Parker's case, like he's only competed at one tournament as a white belt. Like I want to see that guy compete at least like 3 or 4 more.
He's listening to this podcast right now and like signing up for 3 more competitions as we speak. He's like,
sends me a text message.
San Jose, what do you got? What do you got?
Yeah,
Laird, I know you're out there right now. Can I compete this weekend? No. So and then there's people like Julian, who I'm like, he's also only had, that was his second tournament as a white belt. But I'm like, I know
it wouldn't be fair to other white belts to not promote him.
Yes,
he'd be sandbagging at this point.
And I know, like, all right, there's going to be a step up. There's going to be a step up in competition now. And, like, how do you fill those shoes? How do you step up personally to be like, man, I don't want to just, like, I want to go into blue belt and have success right away because, because I fucking put the work in and I believe that I'm at this belt. I think I told you both, I mean, Elias obviously knows this, but I think I told you, Temp Tai, that, when I got my black belt, I remember having a conversation with Elias like 2 weeks prior to this. And I was like, look, I want to be at my brown belt for another year. Like, I want to win competitions. I want to do a world championship. Like, I think I should be a brown belt for another year. And at the end of it, we both walked away thinking like, hey, Laird's going to be a brown belt for another year. And then, like, sure enough, we were training at this barn. Shout out to the barn guys over in Gville, Ray and the other guys. But yeah, we were training with them and Sam Rice. And I remember I just went there one morning for like a training session, and I had no fucking clue what was going on. And I pulled up and there was a bunch of cars there outside of this barn. And I was like, that's weird. They must like be working on the farm today or have some workers here. I literally didn't even put it together then. That's crazy. So I walked in and then like everyone was there, and sure enough that they gave me my black belt, and I think that was the moment where I was like, you know what, time to step up, time to fill these shoes, time to be like, time to be a black belt,
Yeah, 100%.
Well, again, that's deferring to the expertise of the person that gave you the belt, right? Your dad gave you that belt, and you had to defer to him and say, he knows more. He knows he can honestly, objectively assess where I'm at. And if he says I'm a black belt, I'm a black belt. And I need to behave as such.
Yeah. And I think it gave me more confidence too. And like you said, I Elias got to roll with me. Sam Rice got to teach me and train with me. My dad got to watch me. Like, they know from what they see, and if they believed it, like, then I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna be that.
Yeah, 100%. And I think it's natural for you to hold yourself to such a high standard that you're just like, no, I'm not ready for my black belt. I want to be a brown belt longer. When in reality, we're like, well, you fuck up most black belts on the planet right now. I mean, you're talking about like the top 1% of black belts competing at the highest level.
Yeah.
And that's that's in your mind who you're comparing yourself to. And it's like, no, this guy's ready. And even if he feels like he's not, like, he will rise. He will rise to this occasion for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think in regards to the tournament, like, kind of to your point, Ty, about, us knowing where everyone's at, I just felt so, I didn't think about it at all in terms of the promotions after in like a negative way. Like, had any moment where I was like, oh, maybe this person should have an extra stripe, or maybe this person should have been at this belt. I felt like everyone got exactly where we feel like they're at. And felt so good about it as an instructor, and just kept, I mean, in regards to the belting, but not to the actual event, kept the emotions aside, when we focused on what belt we wanted to give, how many stripes we wanted to give, just emotions aside, where are people at on their journey, where are they going to continue to build their confidence, build their technique, and feel good about where they're at. You don't want people to be like disappointed or feel weird about where they're at.
Right. Yeah. Well, and it's got to be a weird thing for you guys because, like you said, get the emotions out, set them aside, because these are people you consider friends, and you want them to be happy and you want them to feel fulfilled. And so it would be pretty tempting to just like belt somebody up because you're like, hey, they'll feel really good about that and they'll be excited. And so I want my friend to be happy, but that's just not fair to them. Right? You've got to be objective. You have to say, this is really honestly where I think they are, and this is where they're going to be. Yeah, and then still celebrate that, because
a good example.
That's the best thing you can do.
Yeah. A good example of that is, Brenda got 4 stripes and Enrique is still 3 stripe. And, I hope you're hearing this, Enrique. And we're not talking about alias Enrique. We're talking about actual Enrique.
The real Enrique.
Yeah. So,
but hey, in his defense, he's showing up again. He's coming in the mornings. He did get his schedule changed, so he's starting to be more consistent again, which is great.
Yeah. No, I'm super proud of them.
Yeah, I'm proud of both of them. And then, like, I said something to Enrique when we did stripe him, and I said, I do see a black belt around his waist one day.
Yeah.
And I'm not just saying that because like I want him to be as consistent as possible. I'm saying that because when I look at him, I'm like, I know that you love this, and I know you just have to like just be consistent with it. And I can see when you're on the mats and when you're training with people, like he's having a great time, and like I truly do see him at a high level one day.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, sometimes you just gotta tell people how you see it, and hopefully, they believe in themselves as much as you do. So,
what's funny is, and I was actually talking to Temp Nate about this recently, is like, sometimes, our vision as coaches, I think I'm so passionate about jiu-jitsu. Like, as soon as I see someone that has like potential, in my mind, I'm working out how they can be a world champion in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, well, like, this person probably doesn't even want to do that.
Yeah.
But in your head, you're like, oh, you could be this, you could go this far, you can, but you're just, and then you got to step back as a coach and you're just like, oh, wait, that's just the way I think because that's my passion, because I want to be a world champion. And then, like, when I see talent like that, that's just instantly where my mind goes.
Yeah.
So you have to
You've
like
never said that I could be a world champion. You've never said that to me.
Yeah, and expect me never to ever. So no, I'm thinking
that hurts.
Masters 10 world champ.
There you go.
No. Ty, I think you can actually be very competitive with the guys at your age, like very well. But obviously, like you've never expressed too much interest in competing, so.
Actually, I've expressed an interest in not competing.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like for like when I think about you competing, Ty, I think it's going to be one of those moments where you've gotten to a point where you're like, oh, I'm actually pretty good at this now. And then in that moment, you'll consider competing, but it won't be off the table anymore. And Laird and I are like, we don't want anyone to compete if they don't want to, you know, like it's about the art. It's about,
you'll just respect them less. I get it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we've already thrown you in the fire for the competition class.
Yeah.
So
no, that was great.
That. Yeah.
And honestly, it was super fun because I was excited to try to help the people there. Like you threw me in there with Malik and, you know, I mean, I tried to give him as much trouble as I possibly could. And it was just first to score. And we went at it for a while before he finally got a sweep on me. So it was
great.
Good. It was fun.
You did really good. Yeah. And that's a testament to how hard you've been working.
And he's a blue belt now. And really, he's, you know, he was pretty much a blue belt then because he hasn't gotten significantly better since then.
Yeah, for
he's
sure.
He's grinding.
He's getting good.
Yeah, I was so stoked when he came over to ALLGROUND. Just remembering that, you know, I was teaching him in Carson a little bit, just when I was teaching there once a week. But I was so stoked to have him because when I first started teaching him, I was like, yeah, no, this guy, he's switched on. You know, he is switched on. He's drilling properly. He's asking the right questions. Like, I am stoked that Malik is here at ALLGROUND.
Yeah.
Well, and he definitely wants to get better
because
he's talking
students
about
that walk into your gym.
Oh, sorry. I think we had a delay.
I think we we had a little delay because I didn't hear you talking. But
guys,
you go ahead.
I think we had a delay.
I think there was a delay. Was there a delay? I don't know.
Guys, are we delayed?
Here, I'm gonna go right now.
Well, he was talking to me about how he feels like the biggest hole in his game and what he's had that knee injury, and he was saying that he thinks he just needs to work on his strength and conditioning. And that's
that's true,
the
man.
opposite of a red
work.
flag. It's like he knows that he needs to do these things and he wants to do things outside of the academy to get better.
Yeah, man. It's such a cool mentality for sure.
This delay is killing me, man.
Sorry.
No, but I agree with you, Ty. I think like there is things to be done, especially if you want to be a competitor. Like, you know, if you want to be competitive in jiu-jitsu and you want to make that like a serious thing, then it cannot just be inside the gym. And this goes for any competitive sport. Anything that you're like, oh, I want to be at a high level in this, not just in the gym, but in competition as well. Like, you have to have your practice, your your daily practice outside of the gym, as well. So that's cool to see. That's cool to hear.
It's like the sword master from Blue Eyed Samurai, right?
Yeah,
I know you were thinking about that.
Yeah,
for sure.
Got to give the whole.
Oh man, gosh,
don't just
so
give
good.
parts.
Yep.
Yeah.
Should we talk about some freaking big ass news that happened in the UFC?
Yeah, because I'm actually not super familiar.
I know.
You're not. I've been hearing things go around. I know. I've been hearing things go around, and I have been interested.
Okay, so let's just start out like, fucking Ilia Topuria vacated the featherweight belt. He vacated.
Yeah.
Like
Ilia,
officially is no longer the featherweight. Like once.
Beater.
Yeah, and like, I personally feel like that's a great decision. Obviously, like seeing the Volk fight would be cool, and like I love Volk as a person and as an athlete, so I want to see that for him because I know that like he's the type of athlete. Because the way my thought process would be is like, I want to fight that guy again. I need to fight that guy again. If I lost to someone, like I would just burn inside to fight them again and to compete against them again. So I know that's like the way he feels, but I personally think for Ilia, like there's no, who else does he need to be? Like
nobody at featherweight.
He knocked out Alex, and Alex has destroyed Max Holloway, and then he knocked out Max Holloway, and Max Holloway destroyed everybody else in the division.
And has also never been knocked out ever. In his entire career.
And it's like, okay, you've beat the two consensus best featherweights of all time, and you don't want to make the weight anymore. Yeah, move up to lightweight. It makes total sense.
Cool. Yeah.
But
does he fight Islam for the lightweight world title right off the bat?
I just don't think there's any other fight to be made. Like, there's no other fight for Ilia. Like, why would he completely why would he take the risk of completely vacating the featherweight title when you have a massive fight against Volk in the wings just to go up and fight a contender at lightweight? You know?
What do you think?
Just fucking step right into the title fight. And if you think about Islam, like, there's no bigger fight for him right now. He's already beat most of the lightweights. Arman is not getting the shot because of what happened last time. He can't go up to welterweight because of Bilal. And he's not going to go up to middleweight because, first of all, that'd be a crazy jump. But also, I mean, Dricus and Hamzat need to fight. Like, that's the fight that has to happen. So the only, like, huge fight out there for Islam right now that makes sense is Ilia.
Yeah. Well, I think that's awesome. It's obviously going to be somewhere big, like in Spain or Abu Dhabi. It's going to be huge.
Yeah.
And it's going to be it's going to be a crazy fight. Who do you got? Of course you got Islam.
Well, yeah, like I feel like I have to.
No.
Not that I have to, but I do feel like Huh? He doesn't?
Wait. He doesn't have Islam? Wait.
No, I do. I do think that Islam is just an exceptional. I think they're both exceptional athletes. I think Islam is a once in a lifetime type of athlete, and I've said this before. I think his mind, his just skill set is exceptional everywhere. But
yeah,
when I think of this fight, I do think that Ilia is the only guy outside of Arman that has like a real potential of beating Islam, like a real legit potential. You know, if you think about Islam's last fight, Moicano, like honestly, if you think about all of Islam's fight, like he's a really good striker, but he's not like a great boxer. And Ilia is so precise, so calm. He hits like a fucking truck, and he's got the best boxing in the UFC, hands down. So
yeah,
it's a very, very dangerous fight for Islam. Very, very dangerous.
I agree. Super exciting matchup.
Yeah.
Do you know what's happening with Aaron Pico?
Yeah, so it seems like the PFL is just not letting him go because they want to, like, they let Patricio go. Like, they let Patricio go, and you know, he's also fighting on that card in Miami. Volkanovski and Lopez, and then Patricio's fighting Yair Rodriguez.
That's an insane
badass. Fight. Yeah, so badass. And then, but yeah, I think, like, I don't know, man. They just need to let the guy go. Just let the guy fight wherever the fuck he wants. And obviously, he wants to fight in the UFC. So technically, he's a free agent, but they still have that match clause where wherever he can, wherever he goes, whatever they offer him, if they can match it, he's got to stay with that organization, right? So if UFC says, hey, like, we're going to give you this, this, and this, and Bellator says, hey, yeah, we'll match that, then he has to stay with them, or PFL in this case. But, I mean, yeah, I think that could be a good negotiating tactic. Or just, like, it could go well for him with negotiations, but it's also going to delay the time in which he fights, which is annoying. And, like, I just want to see that guy start fighting some of the best featherweights in the UFC. And like I've told you, and most people will listen to this and think I'm crazy, but, you know, I don't give a fuck because all the best people are. And but yeah, I want to see him in the UFC because that's where I want to be. And like when I envision myself, if there's one person I want to fight before the end of it all, it's Aaron Pico.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
Yep. I've envisioned it plenty of times.
Yeah. And awesome. So, and honestly, dude, the featherweight division is building like crazy right now. And even though Ilia's leaving lightweight, like I still think there's so many amazing athletes in there that are coming up, and like it's fucking exciting because like as a competitor, like I want to fight the scariest dudes. I want to fight the guys that you feel like, oh fuck, this is dangerous. This is real danger. You know? Yeah.
That's what makes you the best in the world, man.
But yeah, but Aaron Pico, I hope he gets signed to the UFC.
Yeah. I feel like that's a pretty good stopping point.
We're an hour 10 in.
Yeah.
Oh shit. Man, we were rolling, guys.
We've been going.
Yeah. Thanks for listening, Parker.
He's our one listener, you know. The
He's the only
stats show
guy.
there's one
And mom. And mom.
Yeah.
Shout
Oh,
out,
okay,
mom.
yeah.
I know mom listens
Ruby
to it.
too. Ruby's
Yeah. Yeah.
listening.
Yeah.
My
And,
mommy listens to my podcast.
Obviously.
She
My
does.
biggest-
She does listen.
Biggest fan.
Oh, baby Lila.
Say hi.
What the frickin'
Since we don't have a lot of subscribers right now.
By the way, did you want to mention anything, Elias? I know we kind of came up with a tentative plan. I don't know if you talked to Laird about it, but you still haven't given away the espresso machine.
Oh, yes.
Babe.
Yeah, I think we are going to do, Ty mentioned a live stream giveaway, like a fun live stream giveaway, and Lila pulls a name out of the hat.
Yeah. It may be you pulling a name out and putting it in Lila's hand, but either way,
Yeah.
Movie
I don't think
tricks,
she
you know?
has
Movie
the
tricks.
understanding
dexterity.
to like
I-
grab
we'll
something.
grab stuff.
We'll just put
I mean,
some,
we'll
like,
just put her
glue on
hand
her
into
fingers.
the glove and then see which one she like, you know, because she does move her hands open and close them. So there's a possibility.
It might take a while. We're just going to wait for her to grab it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
just
you know,
gonna-
I
we're just
think it's a
gonna-
great idea.
We're
Let
just going to
the
wait for her to grab the name right out of the
Yeah.
hat.
There you
no more. You can't get any more random of a selection than a baby drawing a name out of a hat.
Yeah, no. That's totally random.
Yeah, there's
No bias.
yeah,
She's not
no
going to peek at it
bias.
and be like, not that person.
As long
Yeah,
as you don't
yeah.
like put marbles in there of different colors or something, because then she's going to grab the color she likes. You can't
Yeah,
do
yeah.
that. They have to be equal.
Nope, just white paper.
Damn it. We made marble names.
Ah, shit.
Like lottery balls.
Yeah.
All right.
Uh,
Anything coming up for anyone that we can talk about before we
Yeah.
end? Anything? Any news? Any? You know? Oh shoot!
Well, I mean,
just
we've got
destroyed this
kickboxing
chair.
starting now at ALLGROUND, which is cool. So we're doing the first class tonight. I'll be teaching that, and it'll be fun, man. Oh, did you drop something that you
No,
weren't supposed to drop?
I just totally destroyed this lawn chair.
Oh,
The
nice.
armrest.
Oh,
Yeah.
dude.
Okay, that's okay.
We've been telling you you've been gaining weight.
Yeah.
And I think this is a I think that lawn chair's cry for help is maybe you should
Yeah.
listen, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? You're right. It's time. It's time.
It's time.
How many wicker chairs have to die before you go on a diet, you know?
Damn it. Hey, did you make sure the office chair you bought me was 300-pound capacity?
Yeah, I got the office whale version of it, so I think you're good. You're good.
Oh, great. Well, I think we should
All
end
right.
it there.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go cry
let's
now.
go.
Welcome to the ALLGROUND pod.
All right, peace.
All right.
All right, see you guys.